Indiana Hoosiers.
Wow. My God.
What a night as Coach Cignetti, Fernando Mendoza, and the Hoosier faithful find, success in the most hopeless place. The losingest program in the history of ball in just a 2-year stint has now become the best team in the world. And that man, Yinzer, Mountaineer, Curt Cignetti, after giving a thanks to his dad, Frank. I hope you're up there watching. Championship where this might not be the last. Cignetti felt ready for the moment. A couple massive timeouts he made last night. They were going to send a field goal unit out. Instead, they send Fernando back out on 4th down. What's Fernando do? And then the dive that is going to be immortalized forever down there in Indiana. Full extension, full bruise. I believe he was bleeding and potentially even got concussed in this entire thing. Now, there is no unaffiliated neurological consultant that would certainly call that in. But a man was willing to risk his life, and he actually said that. He said, I believe in myself. I have full faith. Half the coverage was man. Half was zone. I'm supposed to run it if it's zone. I'm supposed to throw it if it's man. It was half and half. I decided to bet on myself, and I decided I could die on that field, is what Fernando Mendoza said afterwards about that particular play. And Curt Cignetti, obviously, is the greatest talent evaluator in college ball. All the NIL transfers that he has brought in, he has hit upon. Him and Fernando Mendoza felt like a perfect match, both just because of how they act, their personalities, how they view ball, their work ethics, you name it. What a masterful chemistry build that they had immediately. And then Cooper Jr. was a monster for Indiana all night last night. Becker rolls his ankle covering a punt. Then he gets a 4th down catch, a 3rd down catch, 2 back shoulders. Nowakowski was in that thing. It was really a who's who from the Indiana Hoosiers side of things. And this Miami Hurricanes team did not relent. The Miami Hurricanes defense was all over the place. Late hits, sure. Tough tackles, definitely. That's been Miami Hurricanes football throughout this entire playoff. We knew with the Big 12 officials they weren't going to call anything. That was kind of like the storyline, is they're not going to call anything until Landino gets a little bit of a late hit on a quarterback in the 4th quarter on a 3rd down, and they call that against him, which was certainly an interesting call. But I thought last night was a physical football game. I thought it was a great football game. I thought it was an instant classic. I think Miami covers. Congratulations to them. And South Florida native Sharp puts that thing away. Takes his helmet off, obviously. They have to have the ball at the 3 for a couple of kneel downs. And the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions in football. Wow. It was a fantastic night, I would say, down there in Miami for the Hoosiers faithful. I think they're about 60%, 65% maybe down there. They took over every stadium that they were in. Their fan base is obviously pumped about what's about to happen. And now Coach Cignetti, we got a chance to catch up with him this morning. Now we're working for next year all of a sudden.
That's right.
I said, you got to at least take 24 hours. We got young guys who commit NFL draft. We got I'll take it in someday, he said. I'll take it. I got to travel down here to go do this. We got junior days coming up. We got to do a celebration at some point. He said, I'll think about it. Because we wouldn't give him like, hey, take this in, bro. People are going to write a movie about this. Actually, you said it'd be a good movie. They're going to do like case studies on what you're able to do here in leadership. They're going to do sociology studies about how you got a group to buy in and to believe. Not only the team, not only the boosters, but an entire community bought in on something that had been non-existent for like 100 years or so. It's a special story coming out of Bloomington, and that guy is unbelievable. He's a movie character in real life who loves ball, loves his players, loves his team. And he was asked last night, what's next? And he goes, well, maybe I retire. Maybe I retire.
Not a bad idea.
And then he thought about the family. He's like, well, we need money. We signed one of those big. And then he looked directly at the reporter and goes, what would I do? Like, that is an actual question for him. If he did not coach football, what would he do? Obviously gets a later start at his head coaching D1 career. But, boy, he's come in there ready for the moment. And it was an honor to be on the sideline. Shout out to college football. Been a hell of a run, college football.
Unreal.
Talk to tables here at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. Con, man, you became a Hoosier fan. Didn't really have a college team whenever you cut. Shout out to the Stags.
Shout out.
You didn't really have a college football team. I think you were hunting a little bit. And then as soon as we meet Cignetti and see what type of football he likes to play, hey, we like to play fundamentally sound football. We like guys that are dogs everywhere. And we're going to spin it. No risk it, no biscuit. A couple times last night, Cignetti said you got to go for it or you're going to lose. And if you go for it and you don't get it, you're an idiot. But you go for it and you get it, obviously they write movies about you. That is kind of the story of this Indiana Hoosiers team. They've gone for it. Last year they were good. Obviously they lose to Notre Dame. Everybody calls them a joke. They reload, come back even better this year. 16-0, first time that's been done in football since Yale and whatever. And then obviously the Indiana Hoosier basketball team goes undefeated for their last national championship, or for a national championship. And now the IU football team goes undefeated for a national championship. Crazy time in Indiana. Great time to be an Indianapolis resident.
Yeah.
And you becoming an IU fan here over the last couple of years and getting into college football, perfect for you, New England Patriots fan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was fantastic. You mentioned it, just the story of the Misfits. You know, Coogan, their center, who I believe was out all last night based on the press conference and his face at the press conference. The boys were having a good time at 11, but just his demeanor. Like, it is very cool for a coach to go in and talk all that shit and then for him to follow up on it and actually win a natty is so cool. This morning, waking up and seeing the scene, or last night getting in, whenever, either way, seeing the scene, in Bloomington last night was something very special. Like the drone footage, right here, boom. Like all these kids on this, one street celebrating a victory, just the passion. So cold out, God. 0 degrees, possibly 10 under with the wind chill. It was freezing, but you can't tell. I mean, they are having the time of their lives. Fireworks, like that is another scene out of the movie, or a movie about this entire team. And a lot of the times we talk about like the cult fan bases in college football, like we're witnessing the birth of one, which I think is sweet. Like we are witnessing IU, who's always been a great, athletic school as far as, fans in Indiana, just in general.
Hoops, they got that, what's that, the basketball, Assembly Hall.
Assembly
they
Hall.
got like the largest student section, I believe is what it's called. And it goes straight up. And they take a lot of pride in like how much they've loved basketball. Hoops, 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 hoops. Because that's really the only thing they've ever had a chance in. Since the Bob Knight days, it's like basketball is what we do here. Indiana is a basketball state. Pacers were always like the thing, It was Pacers and Racers. It was the Indy 500 and it was basketball. And that all goes back to Bob Knight at IU. All of this goes back to Bob Knight basically birthing a basketball community out here. Had the opportunity in. So Cignetti coming out, eerily similar to Bob. Mm-hmm. Accountability driven, never happy. Not throwing a chair, not outrageous. He's a yinzer. He has his own, but he's older. He's a disciplinarian type guy. Perfect match. Dr. Pam Whitten said, we laid the foundation for this in 2021. We built up some infrastructure. And then whenever we needed a coach, we knew he was the guy. We knew he was the right guy for the fit. I'm not 100% sure she knew how perfect of a fit was for the fan base with them all being Bob Knight type people. But this fan base obviously loves him. And if you win, it's only going to continue to roll. That picture of Sig's first game down there in Indiana with, 6,000, 5,000 people in the stands, maybe. Maybe 4,000 people in the stands or whatever it is. Obviously it's so big, so it's tough to count. Maybe 1,000 people in the stands his first game there. That's August 31st. That's not that long ago.
Nope.
Okay, so for what he's been able to do, what he's been able to remain and keep people committed to the program, it's insanity. And now he's got to worry about guys leaving early. He's got to worry about who's coming in the transfer portal. He's got to worry about the celebration that they got to plan for the national championship. He's got to worry about going to other places because maybe he's getting acknowledged and honored for things. It's like, what an insane run. Strength coach getting paid the highest amount of money any strength coach has ever been paid to go down to Tennessee. He's a massive piece of this entire thing. Fernando Mendoza talked about how he added 15, 20 pounds this year strictly because the strength coach was like, you have to get bigger. It's like, all of it is so special down there. And to your point, it does feel like it's only starting.
Oh, yeah.
And like Rose Bowl, Indiana Hoosiers fans were like, can't wait to travel all the way out there, drive on 2-lane road to get down there. How many hours we got to wait in traffic? 4? Sick. The Hoosiers are in the Rose Bowl. We'll go there. Peach Bowl, other side of the country. Oh, sick. Can't wait to go there and just kind of celebrate this entire thing. National championship. It's a Miami home game. Most expensive tickets in the history of college football playoff. Yes. I can't believe we get to go watch the Hoosiers play football right now. That is how the fan base kind of views the football team. And last night was a celebration of it, and it's only going to expedite the entire process, obviously.
Yeah, it seemed like last night, especially like if you went to a Big Ten school and you have been watching Indiana, for most of your life, it seemed like a lot of the fans were kind of in like the, hey, we may never get this opportunity again. So, yeah, this is the most expensive ticket ever, but, like, I love the Hoosiers. I need to be there. And then after the game, after they win, like, it's the expectation now. And they're in a perfect spot because, like you said with Sig, like he mentioned, should I retire? Like, well, what else am I going to do? He's already turned, he could have taken
any
the
job.
Penn State job. Yeah.
I would assume that if his lawyer, he has a lawyer, doesn't have an agent, has a lawyer from Birmingham who does all this shit, I guess, for him. I assume if his lawyer were to reach out to any of these NFL teams, especially at this moment, reach out to any of these NFL teams or any of these college teams and goes, hey, Sig's kind of interested in the situation. At this exact moment, they'd all go, blank check. What are you looking for, buddy? Because you got business leaders, like profound business leaders that are watching these videos coming out of Cignetti's leadership and how he views things. And they're like, is this the greatest coach that we've ever seen? Now, obviously, Coach Saban, GOAT. Bill Belichick, GOAT for the NFL. But, like, the way Sig talks, the way he operates, and the way he's been able to turn this over so quickly, he's got the entire world noticing, like, how special of a story happening down there in Bloomington.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like to take that and be like, well, it's overblown. He's a college football coach. Maybe he's not. But because we talked with Saban yesterday about the stars and, how it's based on the recruiting, companies that give these out. And yes, money and all that kind of stuff. But like you look at a guy like D'Angelo Pons, and I said this before the show and was like kind of joking, but also not joking at all. Like if Curt Cignetti had the talent, and the measurables of like an Ohio State team, or like where all these guys when they come in to campus, it's like this guy he's going to play in the NFL. Like Indiana doesn't have a bunch of those guys. So if he did have a bunch of those guys, he might over the next 10 years go 160-0. Like I all that kind of stuff, like that's part of who he is. He's a little quirky, he's different, but like he knows who he is and he knows how to get the most out of his teams. And like you said, like last night was the example, but like if you think Indiana's going anywhere, you're out of your mind. Like they are the new kings of the Big Ten.
It's only going up.
Yeah.
Yorkman, who runs Cook Medical Group down there in Bloomington, who is the head of the NIL. Obviously, Mark Cuban, very successful, accomplished, very wealthy Indiana Hoosier grad and alumni. Yinzer as well, just like Cignetti, who comes out here to Indiana and has a professional career. Shout out to that pipeline. Feels like Pittsburgh, Yinzer's coming to Indiana having success is certainly something that's only going to continue. Like-minded people, a lot flatter here, than Pittsburgh, massive hills everywhere. But like-minded folks, I think that is why I've loved living out here so much, is because it does feel like home at this stage for me. But whenever you think about, like, Cuban is not the biggest donor to their sports. Okay, Cuban's certainly a part of the donations to their sports, has certainly helped basketball over the years, has certainly helped football over the last couple of years. But it's like he's not the only one. And there's people, I don't know if they have as much money, but they're spending a lot of their money on the Indiana Hoosiers. And that goes to Dr. Pam Whitten, who's rallied and said, hey, this is what we're focusing on. We're going to do this. And then obviously it goes to Curt Cignetti getting results this quickly. Because we talk about, in the NIL era, the people with the money. I remember there was a whole time where James Franklin gets fired week 5 or whatever. Loses to Oregon, loses to UCLA, loses to Northwestern at home. They're supposed to be national champions. That's a tough run. His record against top schools, terrible, abysmal, is what they would say. Now, granted, those top schools, would they go on to become national champions? Just like Dan Lanning in Oregon's kind of staring down right now. Hey, you got your ass beat in these games. He was like, yeah, to who? The national champion. So maybe we talk about that. He might fall into that conversation. But then there was an immediate well, just because the people who give the money to Penn State don't want James Franklin, like they shouldn't have any say or whatever. It's like, okay, well then you're not going to get their money. And if you don't get their money, then you're not in the game anymore. So it's like Cignetti winning with these people's money. Like Cuban said, he's like, hey, the decisions they're making with the money is very good. It's like, as long as you do good with it, I think these alumni get excited that they're a part of it. Like last night, all the people that donated from Indiana Hoosier alumni into the program and won, they feel like they won the national championship.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Great ROI.
They were the owner. They think they were the owners of the team. They're telling their group, their friends, that they flew down to Miami. A lot of planes. I mean, everybody thinks Texas has a lot of private planes. They certainly do. Everybody thinks Miami has a lot of people with private planes. They certainly do. Indiana's got a lot of Cessnas that were flying down there because there's a lot of professional degrees coming out of IU. So it's not like hundreds of millions, but you got a lot of millionaires coming out of Indiana University, med school, law school, dentist school, business school. You're talking about, those are all high-paying jobs. So if you're able to give $100,000, $150,000, $2 million, $10 million, whatever it is, it's like, especially if you win and that money goes to a good player, like, hey, you help bring in Landino. We appreciate you doing that. Then Landino's all over the place. The person that's giving that money's like,
Yep.
that's because of me.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So that money only goes up because it was like, that was fun.
Yeah,
Let's do
I'll
that.
double it this year.
Let's do that again. And it's like, that's a 2-year period he was able to convince people that that was the case. The big issue is, can you get the financial supporting from the booster? Now, can you evaluate talent? That goes to, can you get the financial boosting? Because if you're good at evaluating talent, guess what's going to come? That money. If you're bad at evaluating talent, guess what's going to shut off? That money right there. So he just set himself up for the next 10 years if he wanted to, because all these boosters just had the night of their lives, the run of their lives, and they're only going to continue to give in because they know that it pays off. It's like, what a perfect run here over 2 years for Cignetti. And I think even losing to Notre Dame was a good part of the story. Because the Indiana fans who have to live with Notre Dame people here in Indiana, shouts Coach Freeman, by the way, absolute dog. Very thankful he was on game day last night representing Notre Dame out there. But it was like, lose to Notre Dame. That only made like the boosters even more like, okay, we got to turn this up a little bit. We think we have it. Then they went to Natty. It's like, man, all signs are up into the right for this Indiana Hoosier sports squad.
Yeah, not just evaluating talent, but developing talent, like him and his OC and DC that have been there forever, Haynes and Shanahan. Like, so look at the guys that came over from JMU. Aiden Fisher, the linebacker, he was 2-time All Big Ten after coming with him. He had a huge sack last night. Elijah Surratt didn't have his best game last night, but he's been All Big Ten twice. D'Angelo Pons, just an absolute stud. He'll be going to the NFL. Kamara with the blocked punt last night, a JMU guy. Caitlin Black, the running back, was awesome. Tyreek Tucker was first team All Big Ten. So, like, yeah, he can evaluate talent, but then they develop talent and make them better than what they were supposed to be by whatever. And then you talk about, like, is this team going to go anywhere? No. They have a top 5 transfer portal class right now. I believe Sig, I rumored he's about to get his first 5-star. He has 4 stars already committed. But, like, Charlie Becker's going to be back. Cooper could be back. Who knows if he's going to go to the NFL or not. They just got Nick Marsh from Michigan State. Wide receiver's going to be good. They brought in running backs. Their left tackle said he's coming back. They got a great O-lineman from Wisconsin. Like, they're just going to come back with the guys that they brought in and the guys that they have. And as long as they have that culture, like, they're going to be good for a long time.
Yeah, and Sig isn't going to let that culture go. And the alumni aren't going to let the money stop flowing in there. I think it's good for college football that the largest alumni base is going to be around for a while. Now let's go to the other side of the coin. 9-year NFL vet, Broward County Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry J. Baller's here. D-Butch, we saw you potting.
No, I wasn't.
And Indiana was up. And they get the ball back right before half and kind of just let it kind of run down. And then they throw a Hail Mary and it doesn't work out. Then they get the ball to start the second half. It's like that could have been 13. Then that could have been 20. Like that could have been 20-0 Indiana there with 2 more series. And then this Miami team fought. Like, I think the best thing about this Miami team that we've seen throughout the entirety of college football playoff is they answered the bell, let alone with explosive plays with Mark Fletcher, who's an absolute dog, this guy. Got into a little something after the game there. That's certainly going to be talked about. Everybody around Mark Fletcher says he is a great human being. His interaction with Fernando Mendoza was obviously very sentimental and everything like that. He was a huge piece of the Hurricanes puzzle, a season and into the playoff run or whatever the case is. But it's like they answered the bell every single time. And then Cristobal comes out afterwards, gets emotional in the hallway. You know, and Cristobal's not really an emotional guy. You could see him, though. The big bear was trying to hold back. He was.
Oh, yeah.
There was a couple coming as he was talking about what that locker room did for the U, what that locker room did for Miami, what that locker room did for the school. He talked about, like, for the first time in 25 years, it felt like how it was supposed to feel because of who was in that locker room right there. So that's obviously a rough way to end a season. But for the Miami Hurricanes, I think you zoom out a little bit. Good place, great place. What a run, even though you lose to the Hoosiers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they feel terrible today because you only get, so many opportunities when you're on this stage. You talked about it being 25 years since they won one. And you talk about a program in an area that's kind of hotbed for talent. So you get to that mountaintop and then you come up short. You see the confetti. You see the celebration with Indiana on your home field. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And you know this, like, you never have that same team. It's never going to be that same group of guys, the coaches, the players, all of the staff, the men and women behind the scenes who play whatever role they play. But they fought. They left it all out on the table. Even getting into the playoffs, it was questioned going into the playoffs. They had to battle the conditions and everything at Texas A&M on the road out there. Then you go to Ohio State. That was kind of a back-and-forth dogfight. Then the Fiesta Bowl, same thing with Ole Miss came down to the end. They just answered the bell. Last night, you mentioned Indiana had went up, and based on what we saw with Indiana leading up to that game, it could have gotten a situation where they just blow the doors off them. But they competed. They continued to fight. It just came up short. Indiana was the better team. They found a way to win it down the stretch, and usually big games come down to just big moments. That, not going for it in the end of the first half, missing that field goal, I feel like that was a huge moment. And then Indiana obviously going for it, making that decision that, hey, you know what? We're not going to live in our fears. We're going to go out here and win it and put the ball in our best players' hands. And Fernando made an unbelievable play that will live in history forever. And then the play call. The play call was great as well because, that defense and that team, when you think about Miami, the first thing you think about is the game records off the edge. We saw them dominating all playoff run, Ruben Bain Jr. and Akeem Messidor. So you use their strength against them. You know they're going to get upfield on 4th and 5, 4th and 4, and then you use that quarterback draw. And then he made a phenomenal play to jump cut, ran over a backer, took 2 tremendous shots, and then dove into the end zone. So it came down to moments, and they made the plays. The other 4th down to Charlie B., he stepped up and made unbelievable catches down the stretch. It was just an all-around tone, named all the names who made huge plays in this game, and that's what it's going to come down to. And it ended with Jamari Sharp going up and intercepting it to close it out. Another Miami kid.
What do you think happened on that play? What do you think happened on that play?
I think Keelan Murray, I don't think he expected the ball because on the snap you saw the safety get off the hash and go over the top. And usually when you have, it's like a receiver's cloud, he's basically double covered. So he's like, okay, I'm not going to be in this progression. Carson Beck probably going to go somewhere else. But Beck probably made his mind up pre-snap, I'm assuming, that I'm going to Keelan. And Jamar Sharp did a great job. He didn't have another threat in the flat. He just continued to sink back, have his eyes on the quarterback, and then go up and high point it and get the interception. I'm sure Beck, obviously you hate this. This is the biggest moment. This was 40 seconds on the clock. Was this first down? I believe first down, so you had other opportunities, and you just threw it up there. I think Keelan took the blame for it after the game, which, a good teammate will. But
he thought he was running a distraction route right there.
Yeah, so
he goes all the way out to the sideline. Let me get these guys as far away from the play as possible.
Yeah, you can see his helmet on the other angle, kind of from behind him. You can just see his helmet, not even looking back at the quarterback, but looking at the safety. So once you see that, you're like, this ball's not coming to me. I got 2 guys on me. Somebody else has to be open. So it was a bad read. It was a bad throw, but it happens in this moment. There were other opportunities for Miami to win this game, and it just comes down to making plays, and Indiana made more plays.
Carson Beck, by the way, in my eyes, stock up. That obviously not a good play, and I think he wanted to throw it to Marion. Marion made a lot of plays for him. Not that Malachi Tony hadn't, C.J. Daniels hadn't, Alex Bauman, number 87.
Yep.
Yeah.
He gets thumped.
Cool.
He might have his own highlight reel of taking monster hits throughout the season. It's, he's wearing 87. He's a massive white tight end. So you immediately think to yourself, oh, Gronkowski, right? Because that's just how it's going to go forever. And then you remember about Gronk. What was Gronk's thing? Well, because he was so big, he took so many big shots. And it was like, that's why he had some back issues coming out. And that's why, when he was playing, he's the most dominant guy on a football field. But he was taking huge shots every single, let alone people trying to saw off his knees, everything. Yep. It's like that Bauman guy, every time we saw him around the ball, he was getting thumped. Yeah. And that hit from Pons on him, 170-pounder to dislodge the ball. What a shot by him. But on that note, I think Carson made up his mind. I'm going to Marion here, deep shot on this particular play. Because if it's incomplete, cool, we still got a couple more shots at this thing. Let's go ahead and try to steal it. Obviously, it doesn't work out because of a miscommunication, almost like Caleb and DJ Moore on how the game would end there. But on that note, it's like, I like what Carson Beck showed. I think Carson Beck showed a lot of fight. I think Carson Beck was a good teammate. I think Carson Beck, in the big moments throughout the entirety of the college football playoff, rose to the occasion. Yeah. It's like, I was very impressed with that Miami team. I thought Indiana was going to cover, for sure. The fact that everybody else saw on game day thought it was Miami was crazy to me.
Weird.
I was very I'm like, you guys doing this for a bit? I didn't know if there was a bit that
Sure.
I figured Dez because he lives there, right?
Yeah, Dez definitely going to pick
fine.
Miami. He lives in Coral
Yeah,
Gables.
he's been on them heavy. And Coach Saban, he's been on Miami too. He kind of said, hey, if they got into the dance, they got into the playoffs, this would probably be the most dangerous team. Then Miami being on the run that they had. The physicality too. We watched Miami the whole run. Like them in the trenches, their size and how physical they were. I thought that could have definitely been the difference in the game. But like the job that Sig has done, Coach Cignetti, like this isn't, I don't think, a crazy statement. This is the best coaching job I've ever seen in college football, probably in sports. Not only the turnaround, you talk about the talent evaluation part of it, which is huge, but then the game management part of it. And you can see it. We always are on the field so we can see what's going on kind of in between the TV timeouts and stuff. Like, he lets his guys coach. Like, he sets the tone, and obviously he runs the show, and I don't know what's going on in practices, but he lets his guys coach. He lets his guys step up in those situations. So just everything that he's been able to do, like, it's going to be unbelievable. And you got to take advantage of the opportunity that you get when you reach this stage, because we all assume we see great teams, great coaches, great quarterbacks. You know, oh, they'll be back. You know, they'll have another opportunity. They'll win 2. They'll win 3. A lot of people say Ohio State was just going to run it back this year because of the talent they had all up and down that roster. So you got to take advantage. You can't live in your fears in these moments. And he is the best leader of men that I've seen this year throughout the season. They deserved, the 16-0. Just an unbelievable job from